Hello everyone, my name's Evan. Welcome back to Country View Acres. Recently we have planted a lot of grass seed here on the property. We've planted a hay field back here behind us. Through that opening back there, we've planted a hay field back there, which is alfalfa and grass. We've also planted some pasture areas. We planted pasture areas with grass. We planted some with grass and clover. We've also planted a big area around the back of our house as lawn seed, as lawn grass. So everywhere we've planted this grass seed, we've done something maybe a little bit different in each area, maybe tried different methods in each area. So I thought we'd basically go and look over each spot and see how it's doing and see which areas did the best. I thought we'd go ahead and start right behind us and go back here to this alfalfa field and check it out. So this is our 3-acre hay field that we planted at the end of August. It was the first field that we planted and it got the most attention of anything. So we did do a soil sample on the soil here. We amended the soil according to the soil sample. So we did put down pelletized lime to adjust the pH. We added nitrogen to help the grass and the alfalfa grow, and we added phosphorus as well. And we spread that through here. We disked it in. And we also, then afterwards, we ended up planting the grass seed, and we used like a drop seeder that had a cultipacker on it, and basically just went over and drop seeded it and rolled it in. Is how that ended up kind of going. So this field was also worked probably the most of any other field. This field was probably disked about 8 times over the period of probably maybe 4 weeks. And so it was disked so many times and worked so much, this probably has the least amount of weeds of any other field. So I think that the extra attention to making sure it was getting disked a few times and giving the weeds a chance to kind of come back and then disk them back in again, I think that definitely helped with the weed pressure on this field. Now, when we did first plant the field, there was some bare spots along the edge, kind of over here by the entrance, and a lot of those bare spots never grew because it was so dry. We had our alfalfa came up, but we didn't have much grass come up. Now finally, now that we're getting rain here over the last few weeks and everything's nice and moist, finally that edge where it didn't fill in is starting to fill up with grass, but it doesn't seem like we're going to have any alfalfa in that area, but it does feel like the entire field is going to fill in the rest of the way. So this field actually ended up being taller a few weeks ago. So now that it's fall and the crops are getting harvested, the deer are looking for somewhere to eat. And there have been deer out here every night eating, several deer. And they've actually, this field is kind of getting grazed down by the deer over time. So it's actually shorter than it was a few weeks ago. It's getting a lot of pressure from the deer now. Now we actually do have a hunting blind that overlooks this field. So hopefully this will make a better hunting opportunity this fall with having this nice green vegetation that the deer are attracted to. So overall, I think the hay field is turned out really good. I mean, there's a few spots that were barren and they're slowly filling in with grass seed. I probably will do a frost seeding of some grass here in some of those bare areas in the spring just to kind of help them come up. But overall, I mean, you're looking at probably a 98% coverage on this field right now. It's looking really good. So behind me here is where our old garden area used to be, and we want this whole side of the driveway to pretty much be a pasture area in the future and kind of fence this in. So we ended up planting this in grass and clover. Now, it all came up fine, everything came up fine. The clover is amazing how fast and the clover just came in. I tried to turn the cedar down to a really small setting, and it just seems like there's way more clover out here than there is grass, or at least there seems like there's a lot of clover. Now you want enough clover, I think, that you want to put nitrogen in the soil, but you don't want so much clover that it's bad for your animals and they get bloat. So to me, the way this ended up turning out, I definitely have way too much clover in this area that I planted. So this being an old garden area, I didn't actually feel like I needed to fertilize it at all. I mean, it had been probably fertilized over the time it was a garden. So I just wanted to level everything out and plant our seed. So we didn't use any herbicides here to kill anything. So we solely relied on the disc to be able to cut the grass and the weeds up and be able to kill them off that way. So the first day we had hilled rows in the garden, so it took several times to disc it up to get it all level. And so that did a real good job of pretty much cutting up all the grass and the weeds and pretty much killing most of this area. We came back 4 days later, we disced it again, and we planted it. Now, what ended up happening is we did have a lot of weeds that ended up coming back. So 4 days was quite a quick turnaround and did not get all our weeds killed in that time period. We probably should have waited longer, disced again, and probably disced at least probably 3 different times to kind of guarantee that the weeds were all dead before we ended up planting, since we weren't using herbicide. So let's go ahead and head up to the house. I'll show you all the lawn seed that we planted up there and see how well that grew. So we did actually get grass to grow around the house here. So a lot of this was virgin soil. We had a lot of bulldozing done. There was no topsoil around a lot of these spots. So we did amend the soil heavily to try to get the grass to grow. And it was really dry for several weeks after we planted it. And we had to use a sprinkler. So we ended up getting this tripod sprinkler back here and moving that around with a couple hundred feet of garden hose to be able to get this all watered. Now, I think there was a benefit to that, is that we were able to control the water on the soil and get everything to germinate before we got a really heavy rain and you know, get the roots established before that, or else our grass seed would have washed away and our soil would have washed away because it's on a hill. So I think that was good that we were able to control the amount of water on here for at least the first couple weeks to get it started. The bad thing about that is that costs money. That cost me like $140 for that water bill. But overall, I think we've got most of the grass to germinate. There is some bare areas. But let me go ahead, walk you around and show you some of the things that we've done since then and some of the stuff that I've learned. So one of the mistakes I ended up making was I forgot about the gutter on the house. So right here is one of the gutters that comes off the house, and that's what caused erosion on this hill before, is that rainwater washing down. So the day after I planted it, I actually ran and got some of this flexible drain pipe. And so I hooked that all together. It took about 50 feet of it. And see, we ran that all the way down past the grass seed so that it can wash out to the pond. So this is a temporary fix. It's diverting the rainwater for now. But what I should have done, and what I'll have to do next year, is I'll basically have to just dig a trench. We'll have to bury a pipe all the way out, try to get it right out to the edge of the pond so that the rainwater off the roof will go directly to the pond instead of washing down this hill. Now this hill, when I did first plant this hill did get straw on it. And I had enough straw to basically cover somewhere over that direction and somewhere kind of over in here. And this is the tallest grass that I have, is right where I put the straw that first day. And definitely, you can just tell it's just a lot taller grass. It germinated way better. Now over to the side of the hill over here, you can see there's no straw in this hill, and it kind of grew up in rows, and it just didn't grow as well where there wasn't straw. So definitely the straw is a definitely big benefit. It causes it to grow and germinate a lot quicker. But over time, this has been filling in, and I think it'll fill in just fine by next spring. So I ended up planting this area with about 25 pounds worth of grass seed, and it was some fescue. I had some annual ryegrass. I had a mixture of grasses. When you plant a hayfield, when I planted the hayfield in the back, you use about 25 to 35 pounds of grass per acre. So I thought 25 pounds in this area, that was plenty of grass. Well, after doing my research, when you plant a lawn, it's actually like 250 to 450 pounds of grass seed per acre. It's huge. It's a huge amount of grass seed. You just like totally overseed everything. So It was probably a week or two after my initial planting when I found that out. I went and bought an additional 50 pounds worth of grass seed, and I spread that 50 pounds on here as well. So I think that that has also helped kind of fill everything in just a little bit better, getting that additional grass seed on there. And then I did put some straw here in front of the basement. So I ended up with probably close to half of the area that I planted covered in straw. So over here is one of the areas where I didn't add straw. You can see the straws right here, and it stopped. So over here I definitely have less grass for sure. Now you can tell that a lot of this is actually pretty virgin grass. It's just starting to actually come up with all the moisture that we've just recently got. So we'll just have to wait over time. This may fill in with grass, but I may have to end up adding more grass seed in the spring. So overall, I'm pretty satisfied with the way the grass is growing around the house. I've put a lot of effort into this, to be honest with you. Nightly moving a sprinkler, coming back, adding more grass seed, putting more straw on there. I mean, I've really tried my best to try to get this grass to grow. So it is a little patchy in spots. I may have to add a little bit of seed next year, but overall, I think it's looking great. If you look at the aerial shot of the entire area around the house, this area is just way more greener and just looks better than anywhere else. So pretty happy with the results. So let's go ahead, head over to one more place in the pasture. I just planted it a couple weeks ago, so it's just getting started. So this area back here, I don't know if you can tell, but you can see all the grass is starting to germinate, and down here toward the bottom it's a lot greener. But I disked this all up, kind of dethatched it, raked up all the dead grass in like one day and planted it that evening. So it was a lot of work, but it was all disked and planted in one day. I just basically broadcast the seed and then ran a drag over it. We didn't do any fertilizing or nothing. And you can see that the grass is coming up. So pretty happy with the results. I thought it was too early in the season. I'll be honest with you. I thought it was too late in the season to get grass to grow. But yeah, here we are. It's the end of October and we've got grass coming up. So pretty happy with the way it's looking so far. We've had several frosts that got down to like 30 degrees, like light frosts. So I don't know if I'm gonna get a lot of weeds coming up this late in the season. So we'll just have to wait till next spring and see how this looks in the spring. But so far, it looks like it's gonna germinate fine and I'll have grass in this location. Well, that was pretty much all the seed that I planted this fall. I did overseed this pasture back here. Now, a lot of that seed won't germinate. It's gotta get all the way like through the grass and through the thatch layer, and basically needs to get to the soil to germinate. So a lot of that seed that I spread probably will not germinate. It's probably gonna do the best in areas where it was bare or patchy, and hopefully fill those areas in. But anyway, that's it, guys. I think I'm gonna wrap this video up. Planted a lot of grass this fall, and hopefully it's not a wasted effort. Hopefully all this grows up and we have some nice lawn and some nice pastures. And so continue to watch along as we finally get this pasture behind us fenced in, and hopefully next year we'll get some more livestock. Thanks for watching, guys. See you in the next video.